Welcome to the Maggid Method. I'm Daniel Steinberg, and today we're tackling something that holds so many people back: stage fright and public speaking anxiety. It's real, it's pervasive, and it's even a little ironic. Jerry Seinfeld famously joked that,
I saw a study that said speaking in front of a crowd is considered the number one fear of the average person. I found that amazing. Number two was death. Death is number two? This means to the average person, if you have to be at a funeral, you would rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy.
and here's the kicker, even the best speakers, performers, and actors aren't immune to it. Did you know that Henry Fonda, an Academy Award-winning actor and Broadway legend, was still throwing up before every stage performance at 75 years old? One of my clients recently shared with me how this fear was derailing her career. She said, "I get asked to speak so often, but I dread it so much that I've started turning down opportunities. Now people have just stopped asking me. I want to look forward to these chances, not run from them." If you've ever felt the same way, this episode is for you. Today, I'm giving you two game-changing gifts. Number one is a mindset shift that will forever change the way you view speaking in front of an audience. Number two is a bold, proven technique that will cure your speaking anxiety the moment you're on stage. This technique works instantly, and it works 100% of the time. It takes courage the first time to do it, but after that, it gets easier and easier until you won't even need it anymore. And not only will it dissolve your fear, but it'll create a powerful connection with your audience right from the start, something that every speaker needs in a world full of distractions. So, if you've ever let fear hold you back, settle in. By the end of this episode, you'll have the tools to not only manage stage fright, but to embrace the spotlight with confidence. So let's dive in. Let's start with a mindset shift that can revolutionize the way you see public speaking. When we stand in front of a crowd, something curious happens in our brains. We stop seeing a group of individuals, and instead, we perceive this massive, intimidating entity, an audience. Suddenly, it feels like we need to transform into someone entirely different, like we need a special, untouchable skill set to communicate with them. But here's the truth. Even an audience of 5,000 people is just 5,000 individuals who happen to be seated in the same room next to each other. And guess what? You already know how to communicate one-to-one with people. You wouldn't second-guess yourself having a conversation with just one of them. You wouldn't think, "Oh no, what if I stumble over my words? What if I look foolish? What if this person judges me forever?" That fear only kicks in when we inflate the group into something bigger than the sum of its parts. The key is to break down that intimidating audience into its individual parts. And to illustrate this, let me share a story about Philippe Petit, the man who famously walked a tightrope between the Twin Towers in 1974.
Welcome to New York. Anything to declare?
I'm going to hang a high wire between the two towers of the World Trade Center and walk on it.
Good luck.
Picture this. He's 1,400 feet above the ground, crossing a wire no wider than a pencil. At one point, he's so at ease, he lies down on the wire and smiles. It's breathtaking to watch. But here's the thing. Philippe didn't just wake up one day and decide to pull this off. He spent nearly a year practicing. And since he didn't have access to the World Trade Center for his rehearsals, he practiced on ropes strung low to the ground in parks. Now think about this. The skill required to walk a tightrope 5 feet off the ground is no different from what it takes at 1,400 feet. The rope doesn't change. The technique doesn't change. The only difference is what's going on in your head when you're at those terrifying heights. And it's the same with public speaking. The skill that you use to talk to one person is the same skill you use to talk to 5,000 people. The only difference is the stakes you assign to the situation. When you embrace this mindset, not only does your fear diminish, but something amazing happens. You create connection. When you see the crowd as individuals, when you speak with them, not at them, your tone changes. It's no longer me versus them. It becomes a conversation, even though you're the only one speaking. And your audience will feel it. It builds intimacy, trust, and engagement. So the next time you're in front of an audience, remember, it's just you speaking to a room full of individuals, just like you already know how to do. Now let's talk about a technique that's as bold as it is transformative. It's about the power of vulnerability, and no one demonstrated it better than the legendary comedian Richard Pryor.
You're welcome, Richard Pryor.
You'd never guess it from his wild, confident onstage persona, but Richard Pryor suffered from crippling stage fright. According to singer Nina Simone, who shared some backstage moments with Richard Pryor, she said he was so nervous he shook like he had malaria. And yet, there's a moment at the beginning of one of his stand-up comedy specials that's nothing short of remarkable. Richard Pryor walks out, visibly trembling, takes a desperate gulp of water, and then does the unthinkable for a comedian.
Just need a little water to relax, calm down.
He confesses. He says, "I'm so nervous up here. I really want to do a great job tonight, and I know you guys really want me to do a great job."
Because I feel the tension from y'all. Y'all want me to do so well. I want to do so well for you.
It was raw, risky, and completely unexpected. But it worked. The crowd erupted in applause.
But let's relax and enjoy. I got my check. I'm telling you something. I got so nervous myself today. I forgot what the I did.
In that moment, Richard stopped worrying about earning their acceptance. By trusting them with his vulnerability, he trust fell into their arms, and they caught him. The rest of his performance flowed effortlessly, and the audience was with him every step of the way. So how does this apply to you as a speaker? By sharing your fear of speaking with your audience at the beginning of your talk, a few magical things start happening. Number one is that you immediately become more relaxed for the remainder of your presentation. Because, like Richard Pryor, you're no longer concerned about gaining the audience's approval. You already trust fell into their arms and they received you. Number two, you create an atmosphere of intimacy and a sense of being amongst friends with the audience. You can definitely sense that from Richard Pryor's concert performances. Number three, people see themselves in you and they're that much more open to being transformed by your message. Number four, you become memorable to your audience, a real person with failures and successes whom they can relate to, as opposed to just another talking head spouting information. Number five, a bond is created between you and the audience that cannot be broken by outside forces. And last but definitely not least, since your authentic self is the one thing the audience wants from you more than anything else, and it's the one thing they can't get anywhere else, you become irreplaceable as a speaker. Now, I acknowledge this technique requires courage, especially the first time you try it. But when you see how powerfully it works, not just for disarming your anxiety, but for captivating your audience, you're going to want to use it again and again and again. The common thread between these two ideas we've explored today, the shift in mindset and the technique of vulnerability, is this. They both transform the big, intimidating concept of public speaking into something deeply human. Instead of viewing speaking as a performance for a crowd, you create an intimate, heart-centered connection with your audience. It becomes a shared experience, real, relaxed, and meaningful between you and the people in the room. And that's what people truly remember. Not just the words you said, but how you made them feel, the connection you forged, and the authenticity you brought into the space. So why am I telling you this? Because this could be you. I'm looking for 3 more leaders who want a reliable presentation toolkit they can lean on when the stakes are high. So if you're interested, email me at daniel@maggidmethod.com. That's Daniel at maggidmethod.com, and I'll share with you all the details. All right, that's it for me this time. As always, I'm Daniel Steinberg, and you've been listening to The Maggid Method.